Me, for example, I had about 5 or 6 monologues prepped for all my auditions, and all of them were really close to me. I really loved them. So LAMDA had me prepare about 3 monologues in the initial process, and there are 3 rounds of auditions for LAMDA specifically. So I had to do a pre-screen, first round callback, and then a final round callback. The first round callback, they asked me to prepare 3 monologues, 2 classical and 1 contemporary. You film your monologues, you work on them for as long as you can. I've worked on them for weeks on end until I actually sent in mine. You want to make sure they're really good, the best you can send in for your work. And then you wait about, I'd say I waited about 2 to 3 weeks, and then I got called back to the first round. They let me into the room. They were very warm. They're not intimidating, by the way, guys. The only intimidation I think that came with it was this inherent need to get into a school, which I have. I feel like we all have at one point or another. But honestly, when you enter the room, they want you to succeed. They really want you to be what they're looking for. So I brought in who I was. I had my 3 monologues that I had prepped. They played with one of mine. My 3 monologues were Julius Caesar, Act 3, Scene 2, Friends, Romans, Countrymen, Lend Me Your Ears, King John, Lewis, Act 5, Scene 2, and Spirit Control by Bo Willimon. And after that, we talked for a few minutes. They asked me about why I wanted to go study abroad, why I wanted to leave the country. I told them why. And they said they'd be in touch if they wanted to see me again for the final round callback. So I waited for about 2 weeks, and I got called back to the final round. Did a little dance. I was super excited about it. And they asked me to prepare in between those 2 weeks 2 new Shakespeare monologues. Now, luckily, I had already prepped a couple more monologues in case these schools asked me to do any other ones. Juilliard asked me to do 4 monologues and even sing, and I was fully prepared to bring in new monologues to my callback. So on the day of my final callback, I was called, I think, around noon. They let me in. Again, very sweet, no pressure situation. Ailsa, who is the LAMDA liaison, was very welcoming. She said, "Hi, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Ask me about the program." I asked her a few things about performance opportunities and such. And a few minutes passed, and then they asked me to go in and do my final audition. Now, I remember there was a couple faculty members in the room, but the only person who really talked was the head of LAMDA, Rodney Cottier. It was very brief. He asked me how I was, how the weather was here in New York, which is where I'm placed, and then he said, "Whenever you're ready." So my 2 monologues were Comedy of Errors, Act 3, Scene 2, where I was playing Antipholus of Syracuse, and my new dramatic Shakespeare monologue that they asked me to prepare was Gloucester from Henry VI, Part 3. And he saw both, and he gave me a lot of redirections on Comedy of Errors. And, I mean, I delivered. I didn't question it. I just jumped right in, and they asked me to sing, and they said, "Do you have any questions about the program?" And I asked about performance opportunities again and what the program entails. We talked for a little bit, and that was it. I'm waiting patiently for any notification, and literally, I think 3 days later, I get a Zoom request from Ailsa, the liaison from LAMDA, saying that she wanted to have an informal discussion with me. And I was like, oh my God, what else do they want me to do? I log into the Zoom room. We have our polite little small talk, and she says, "Congratulations, we'd love to offer you a spot on the Masters in Classical Acting program." I was super stoked. I called my mom. I called my roommate. Because he wasn't home. I called a bunch of my friends. I was over the hill excited about it. And now I'm going to LAMDA. It's super exciting to be over in London to study classical acting specifically, and that was my experience auditioning for LAMDA. I hope it was informative.